Hey guys, welcome back. If you follow me on TikTok, you probably know I've been working on this project for quite a while. Since so much work went into the creation of this tutorial's a little longer than usual. I will have timestamps in the description box below so you can jump around if you want. And I hope you stick around and watch it all come together. Starting out with vacuum forms on my teeth cast. Took some teeth pieces from a mold that was ran out of dental acrylic. Applying a good layer of gum-colored dental acrylic over the vacuum form and press the teeth into it. Add a little more gum material over the top of the teeth. Got to this point and let it set up. Then Dremel and shaped the teeth a bit. Went ahead and popped in some teeth on the lowers too and shaped them a little. After some rough shaping, add some tooth shade acrylic to the teeth, widening them and rounding some. Also can add some length to them if they're too short. Taking the two pieces to see if I will be able to close my mouth properly. Dremel down anywhere where the two pieces are hitting and shape the gum line a little better. Keep checking the fit of the two pieces so they'll be as comfortable as possible. Switching the bit size and really forming the teeth and the gum to your liking. Also use some sandpaper if you need to soften any areas from the Dremel. Clean off with a little alcohol and that's the teeth. Now to get these bad boys painted. I'm using Acrylstains from Premier Products Inc. Take the shade yellow, put a base on the teeth. Next, use balsam for the upper third of the teeth, right up into the gum line. Using bloody color for the gums, mostly right above the teeth, and add it to some random areas. With Violet Adjuster, define the gum line a bit. Also at some point, the tip of one of the teeth broke off. I didn't notice till after I was painting, so I added some color to the center and made it part of the character now. Bring the violet down the tooth since these are monster teeth and I like to up the contrast. Next, black on the gums, applying it heavy above the tooth, bringing it up into a spotty pattern. Since the makeup is so colorful, just really wanted a stark look to the teeth. Since they don't fully cover my real teeth, painted over the exposed vacuum form and added it between the teeth to make them pop. Did the same on the uppers and color that broken tooth that was totally intentional. Bring up the gums with the rose color, mainly around the teeth area to look a little agitated. Taking the white and putting it on the high points of the gum to give a little more dimension, and applying some on the tips of the teeth for some highlight. I did seal them later, but here they are all painted. Here's a quick look at painting the costume. I didn't film the whole process when making this. I honestly didn't know how much I was going to like it and didn't bother, so egg on my face. The shoulder spikes are 3D printed. I got from Etsy. Store link in the description box below. The underbelly panels are overlapping craft foam. For these panels, I burned the texture into the foam, and the size of the arms are scale fabric. All of this is hot glued to a leotard because I'm not much of a seamstress, so fake it till you make it. I use Skin Illustrator Nova colors to paint everything. I will get more into the details for the prosthetic pre-paint section, but it's going to be the same painting idea. After it's all painted, I added 2 different sequin fabrics. Again, it's all just hot glued on. And here's some quick shots of the finished product. Now onto the pieces. These foam latex prosthetics are from RBFX Studio. Going to put a PAX paint layer over all the pieces. I used black chalkboard paint because I grabbed the wrong type of acrylic paint. It worked fine though. Mix it with some Telesis Beta Bond Plus and paint up to the edges, leaving them unpainted. This is so you won't have problems when blending the pieces down. Make sure to work the paint into the textures. After it's dry, I do go in and powder it so it's no longer sticky. Let's start painting, beginning with Skin Illustrator Nova Color Magic Bus for the underbelly. I do go over the first coat to get a nice opacity. Again, all of this is the same that I did for the costume, so it will all go together. Now with the Nova palette, take Mediterraneo and paint all those scales. My mixture for these colors are thick, so they don't bleed into the texture between the scales. Getting the base coat color over the prosthetics is the longest part, since I'm taking my time and painting everything individually. Also paint the scales along the jaw of the face piece. Now with Emerald City out of the Nova palette, paint in some of the scale sections. And take Starry Night out of the Skin Illustrator Nova palette and block out some of the scale areas. I knew I wanted brighter colors down the center of the face, so the darker colors help to balance all the craziness. You want some areas of rest for the eye between the really colorful sections. Paint a few more random sections and use Phoenix Nova Color to put some in an airbrush and paint the lower portion of the underbelly panels. I went back to the neck because I wanted to feel like I was actually finishing something. This process took a good amount of time. Now with the Skin Illustrator Hot Rod Red, add some splotchy textures on the bottom of each panel. Also went back in with some of the Phoenix color above the red to intensify the orange area. Taking the Capt Blue Nova color, add a sort of shadow edge to the scales, keeping them all on the lower parts. Next, with the Peridot Lizard color, paint the opposite edge of each scale. Then grab Starry Night and put a blob of color in the middle. Make sure some of the original lighter blue is still there. The idea is that the multiple colors on each scale almost gives it a look like there's a sort of duochrome effect happening. Add the Peridot Lizard color to the face on the scales we painted with the Mediterraneo color. Also put it on the top of the dark green scales. Using the Mediterraneo color on the edge of the Starry Night scales, keeping it to the outer edge of the sections. Back to the Skin Illustrator Nova palette, take the Purple Rain color and apply it down the center of the pieces, also a few narrow scale areas. Let's grab that Peridot Lizard color and paint the mouth scales. If your mixture is dry enough, you can carefully rake over the textures to paint them a little faster. Once it dries, go over any area that might need a little more paint. Put Mediterraneo for under the eyes, because I wanted a brighter color to frame them. To bring some of that Capt Blue color around the eyes and cheek areas. Just pay attention to what scales you're painting since you want to mirror that on the other side. Also decided to bring this under the mouth scales. It was a pain trying to film the cowl, so I ended up doing it off camera. But here you can see the color blocking I did in the back. Still doing the basic same stuff, letting the blues and greens be the main color with the purple accents. Also, there's some underbelly paneling that is painted gold on the side of the neck. Here I'm just continuing the colors up the head and getting a quick coat of Mediterraneo on. Using Emerald City around the ear hole. Not going to lie, I felt like this process was taking forever at this point. I did think that the color blocking was going to make for a cooler result than painting it more like one full color. Then start some of the large areas with the Capt Blue. I had an idea of what I wanted to paint, but I did leave some of it up to how I felt as I went along. That's why I'm jumping back and forth with the colors. You can see that there's a bit of Starry Night color on the top of the head. That will help to continue the color from the middle areas of the face. More of the Starry Night with the purple rain accents. Don't want to do the color blocking areas too small on the cowl because it will start to become too busy. With all the colors, I challenged myself to get into this look. I wanted some larger areas of rest. Some nice Emerald City for the remaining sections and all blocked out. Now for the color accents that are really going to bring it all together. Highlight the top of the mouth scales with some magic bust color. For the lower part of the mouth, I added it to the bottom sections. Added a bit of the Peridot Lizard down the center of the eye, just at that high point. Take the Nova Palette and use the Rubi-oh color to softly feather out on the Starry Night and Capt Blue areas. Put some of the Mediterraneo on the opposite side of the scales. I shaded both sides of the eye area with the Capt Blue and use this as a shading color on the light blue scales near the mouth. Put some of the darker blue on the Starry Night spaces in the middle of the face. Use the Skin Illustrator Phoenix color in the middle part of the mouth scales on both the top and bottom rows. Add some Rubi-oh around the nostrils. Bump up the Mediterraneo more and use the Peridot Lizard on the upper edges of the light blue scales so they match the ones we did on the neck. Go in and start to do the same on the head as we just did on the face. Finally, for the horns, airbrush some Skin Illustrator Platinum from the Alchemy collection. These are 3D printed horns I primed ahead of time. The link for where I got the horns is in the description below. I wanted the black to still show through a bit, giving it more of a chrome look. Finally, just airbrush some Rubi-oh along the edges of the horns. Now for the makeup application. Starting off with the cowl. Put it on and check with the other pieces to see how it all lines up. Once it's all good, glue it down with some Telesis Beta Bond Plus. Beginning with the forehead and working down each side. Use Skin Illustrator Zero Color Powder to lightly powder it down. For the neck, apply the glue in the center and use the divot between the collarbones as an anchor point to line up the prosthetic. Work my way out, making sure it matches up with each collarbone and doesn't buckle in any areas as I continue to glue it down. And quick powder around the pieces. I ended up leaning out of frame for a good amount of this, but I go in with the Mediterranean color and color in the unpainted areas. Apply the Capt Blue and Peridot Lizard just like the pre-paint. Also bring the scale pattern past the foam. This is going to help blend the piece, and also I had exposed skin once the costume is on. Use the black Skin Illustrator for the lines between the scales. Apply a glue stick to my brows so that it will be easier to remove the face later. Then take some magic bust color and extend the neck from the underbelly. Grab the Beta Bond adhesive and start to apply it around the nose and upper lip. And carefully line it up. Do a quick check with where the ends of the face are going to land on the cowl. You want to keep track of a few places. That's so you can make sure that it's in the same places on both sides of the cowl. I'm paying attention to the purple lines and the green mouth scales in particular. Those are the most noticeable anchor points. Carefully glue down in sections. Taking extra care around the eyes to get them even and to make sure the prosthetic isn't pushing down on the eye area. I slightly pull up on the top when I'm gluing to keep this from happening. Once the top parts are done, go onto the lower part of the face, still paying attention to where certain areas are going to land on the cowl to make sure that they reflect each other. Stipple Beta Bond around the edges. And use a Q-tip for adding the glue around the edges near the eye. When it's all dry, powder it all down. Use Skin Illustrator Starry Night on the edges first, then onto the Mediterranean. Did go over some areas with a second coat for some more coverage. Also, when painting around the eyes, the product is on the drier side. I honestly don't recommend using alcohol activated makeup around eyes unless you're super proficient using them. You do not want to have it get into your eye or have the fumes irritate them. Add those color accents to tie it all in. Grab Skin Illustrator Black in a thin brush and refine the spaces between the scales, near the eyes, and where the pieces overlap. Pop in some scaleras. Take some NYX Professional Makeup Jumbo Eye Pencil and milk and smudge it around the eyes. And set it with some white eyeshadow. I chose to do this to highlight the eyes since there's so much crazy color going around all over the character. Skin Illustrator Zero Marble Sealer to seal all that work. Did put some magnets in the horns and the cowl, and also added some fabric netting on the base of the horns to help secure them. Use the Beta Bond to glue them down, and add some more glue over the fabric and start to paint the color back in. Airbrush some black to the base of the horns and put splotches of glue for some silver leaf. Pull up any spots that aren't glued down to add more texture to the area. You went ahead and powdered all that. Then spray some Zero Marble Sealer to bring the sheen back to the area that you powdered. Airbrushed a little bit of the Skin Illustrator Platinum to soften the contrast of the leaf to the horns. Throw on the teeth and you're done. Thank you so much for watching.